Mexico's economic situation is dire. The country reported one of the steepest increases in poverty of any developing country due to the global financial crisis. Its GDP will shrink by more than 7% this year. Almost half of the country lives in poverty. However, millions of workers in Mexico have skill sets that are in great demand in other parts of the world. Carmen is one such worker who talks about her foray in hairdressing.
Bueno, porque me gustaba y busqué una escuela para poderme capacitar y posteriormente pues he tomado cursos y vamos, ya llevo 10 años con mi negocio. He tomado maquillaje, estilizado, colorimetría, cortes de cabello, peinados.
Her skills will be valuable in a place like Spain. For one, many Spaniards, even though unemployed, are not willing or trained to do the very same jobs that Mexicans are good at.
Generalmente las grandes ciudades se suplían de la gente que veníamos de los poblados pequeños, los pueblos, y ahora generalmente eso no ocurre. Entonces me empieza a ver eso, principalmente la carencia esa, porque no hay gente formada, ¿no? Por esto, bueno, es el problema de... No es fácil conseguir ahora gente joven que estén bien preparados dentro de la profesión.
In addition, the population in Spain is shrinking. Lant Pritchett, expert on labor mobility issues at Harvard University, explains.
The typical demographic pyramid of a growing population, you have more young people than older people and fewer older people at all. All of the demographic pyramids of places like Europe are just shrinking in absolute terms. So the absolute size of the cohorts are going to get smaller and smaller, which means there's fewer and fewer workers on essentially the same amount of institutions and the same amount of capital.
According to the report of immigrant communication presented by the Spanish Secretary of State for Immigration in 2008, Spain will need 430,000 immigrant workers from now until 2013, regardless of the financial crisis and high unemployment rate. How can we match these workers in Mexico with the companies in Spain in a legal, efficient, and socially responsible manner? Puentes Global has the solution. Puentes Global, a non-profit social enterprise with seed funding from the Social Innovation Fellowship at the Stanford Graduate School of Business, helps fill the deficit of workers in Spain with Mexico's surplus workers. Founder Federico Lozano explains the mission.
Our mission at Puentes Global is quite straightforward: to help alleviate poverty by matching low-income yet qualified workers from the developing world with well-paying and dignified jobs in the developed world. This objective is rooted in our deeply held vision of a world where hard work, motivation, and merit, as opposed to citizenship, are the main prerequisites for semi-skilled workers to move across borders to work. Indeed, today, investment bankers and consultants and even IT experts can move across borders with ease to work. Yet welders and hairstylists cannot. And in many cases, the skills and the dexterity behind the job of the welder and the hairstylist are much more in demand than those of the consultant or the banker. This, in our view, makes no economic sense whatsoever. And at Puentes, we plan to change this.
Rodrigo Santibáñez explains the model.
Puentes recruits workers from Mexico and places them in companies in the developed world through our intersourcing strategy. On the demand side, Puentes leverages flexible migration policies in developed countries that enable foreign workers with specific skills to work under temporary contracts with full social benefits, such as healthcare, public education, pensions, and insurance. On the supply side, Puentes leverages the vast supply of poor yet highly experienced laborers in Mexico.
Puentes Global's impact will come from three sources. Conchita Galdón, co-founder and director in Spain, explains.
Firstly, they will enjoy savings from remittances. Each associate worker will be able to send around $2,000 per year in remittances to their families in Mexico. According to our estimates, by 2014, Puentes associates would have sent $9 million to their communities of origin. This money goes straight to families, who use it to pay for basic needs such as food and medicines. Remittances also promote the growth of middle classes, contributing to increased equality and a stronger democracy. Secondly, our associates would benefit from an increase in their permanent income. They will enjoy an average salary in Spain that is 4 to 8 times greater than in Mexico. Upon return to Mexico, the worker will experience an increase in his or her salary by 9% for each year spent in Spain. Finally, Puentes associates will increase their human capital by participating in technical training programs, financial literacy courses, and personal development programs.
Puentes Global is for people like Juan Carlos Rojas and Raúl Patiño, master welders with years of experience, now struggling to find full-time employment. Now, thanks to Puentes, they can hope for well-paying and fulfilling work in Spain. Puentes Global is for people like Francisco Martinez, a telecom company executive in Madrid who is unable to fill positions locally.
Y además resulta paradójico que sea carencia en la medida en la que convivimos en una economía que tiene ya cerca de 4 millones de parados y paradójicamente pues podía tener unas ofertas a esos oficios y por la razón que sea, y no voy a entrar en cuál es, no consigue reducir el gap que hay, no consigue ofertar a esa demanda de puestos de trabajo que tienen que ver con los oficios, con los egresados de los propios centros nacionales de formación profesional. ¿Por qué? Pues porque, como digo, mi opinión es que porque queremos tener hijos universitarios que ganen oposiciones.
One concern expressed by many is that increased migration flows will lead to greater brain drain. But experts say this is simply not true.
People are, in fact, tied to their culture, tied to their families, tied to ways of life, and they would like to benefit from higher income, but not all of them come seeking to completely uproot themselves and settle permanently. A typical mode of migration is a person comes for a period, makes some money, and comes back.
How can Puentes Global serve as a global bridge?
Grandes profesionales, porque no se incorpora mucha gente a la profesión. Si de otro país y más de un habla o una cultura muy parecida a la nuestra, pues de esta forma sí podría ser muy interesante la introducción de esta gente y poder tener un buen desarrollo dentro de la actividad de la peluquería.
Yo creo que Puentes Global sí que tiene un espacio importante a rellenar en la medida que pueda conectar al empresario con la demanda del empresario de sus demandas de trabajo. Siempre procurando tocar los aspectos de garantías laborales, garantías administrativas.
Está más que justificado, vamos, considero absolutamente necesario esa actividad, la actividad de Puentes Global.
Porque pues siento que ahí está, de alguna manera podría capacitarme más para traer tendencias nuevas, y sobre todo hacer ese intercambio cultural en cuanto a moda, ¿no?
I think an organization like Puentes is perfectly timed and desperately needed in this context. And the reason it's needed is the migration is going to happen. And it's going to happen in ways that either make it more popular, more development-oriented, and more people-friendly, or it's going to happen in ways that make it less people-friendly, less development-oriented, and less politically popular. And the difference is going to be how well the intermediation role can be handled. So a program like Puentes that takes the long, integrated view of maximizing the benefits to people can be a easily viable enterprise, and at the same time serve a really important function of establishing, people-centered labor brokers. I think it's going to be the key to whether or not rich country democracies really buy into having more people circulate through their labor markets.
We see large movements of goods, services, capital, and information throughout the world. It is now time we open the doors to the international movement of labor as well. Puentes Global will ensure that thousands of talented people maximize their value as workers, grow as individuals, and create a more prosperous future for their families.